Hi, it's Dennis here. Welcome back to the shop. And today we're going to carve a little owl. This is a great project for your very first carving. Okay, it's a very simple little owl. We're not going to go into huge detail. We're just going to go on to what we call implied detail. And for your first project, this is a perfect little thing. I've been carving for about 15, 16 months now, and the very first time I gave it a try, this is what I came up with. I'd never seen a YouTube video. I didn't have anyone sitting next to me showing me what to do. And I just found a stick on the ground. Turns out it was hard as rock. And I used a pocket knife, and well, that's what I came up with. I always keep this up on the shelf, and it reminds me of where my roots are. The next project I did was this little guy here, and that was inspired by a carver by the name of Doug Linker. And I'll talk a little bit more about Doug. If you haven't discovered him on YouTube, I'll talk a little bit more about him, and we'll give you a link to his channel as well. But anyway, this is the first little man that I did. And, after 15 months and a lot of practice, well, this is where I'm at today. This is the last little guy that I made. And I mean, he's kind of fun, and I'm actually making a whole series of these guys. This is my little ship's engineer, so I'm making a whole bunch of different little characters for a boat. So that's a little bit of story about me, where I come from. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we need to do, what we need to have for tools, and we'll get started. Here we are at the workbench, and let's talk about what we need tool-wise and supplies-wise for this video. First of all, you're going to need a knife, and for today's video I'm going to use a flex cut detailed knife. This is a 1.5-inch blade. Okay, well, it's 1.5 inches, but really it's about 1 3/8 usable. But this is the first knife for an awful lot of people, so we'll use this one here and show you how easy it's done. And I'll talk about the different renditions of the little guys that I've done here as we go, and we'll have some fun with it. You're going to need a little block of basswood. Okay. Well, you don't have to have basswood, but basswood is the carver's wood of choice because, first of all, it holds detail very well, and it's not as dense. It is a hardwood, but it's really easy on the blades, and it's easy to carve. So basswood, a wood of choice. Now you can buy this stuff on eBay. You can buy it at specialty lumber stores. I get my stuff from a supplier. Now this is a chunk of board. They call this hobby board. This is KJP Select Hardwoods. I'm not sponsored by these guys. I'm just letting you know where they are. They're very close to me here in Ottawa. And you can see here that this is 8/4, and what that means is, well, basically it's 2 inches rough sawn. Okay, so that's 8/4, and it's rough stuff. So you gotta clean it up a little bit, and you cut it up into your own little blocks. And this is a board that's 2 inches by 5 1/4 by 18, and I paid $12 Canadian for it. So it's pretty cheap stuff when you look at it. I can cut this up on the bandsaw and cut it up into little blocks, and I can get an awful lot of these little blanks out of that for $12. And the beauty is I can make the blank whatever size I want it to be for my particular project. Okay, these guys sell this in longer pieces as well. This is what they call a project board. It was actually sitting on their little cutoff shelf, and you can walk in there and buy it. You can buy from these guys online, and they'll cut you whatever you want, or they'll let you know what they have on the shelf, and they'll ship it to you. And I checked with them before, and they will ship worldwide. So I'll put a link to KJP Select Hardwoods down in the show notes down below. Another place that you can get your wood, again in the same kind of configurations, is a little store in Waterloo, Ontario, Southern Ontario, called Chipping Away. Okay, and they will send it to you in the mail as well. And I checked with them, and they ship worldwide. So there you go, 2 places. We'll put the links down below, and there's also Amazon. And well, check your lumber suppliers, not necessarily the big box stores or the home reno stores, but the actual lumber suppliers. And they may have something there. Chances are they do. So, all right, so let's look at my little block here. For today, I'm going to use a piece that is, I'm sorry guys, I'm going to go into imperial measurements here because most of the audience is in the US, and you know, it's really easy with a metric converter to convert these, and I'm going to try and stick to inches just to keep everything simple. But this is a little square block, 3/4 of an inch square, okay, and it is 4 inches long. Doesn't matter how long you make this, you can make this, well, you need 2 inches, okay. The beauty of having a 4-inch piece is I've got something to hold on to while I'm carving. And I mean, I could actually reverse this and put it on this side too. And once I'm finished carving this little owl, I could make one over there, put it on the bandsaw, and then I got 2 owls and something to hang on to. So for today, we're going to use a 4-inch piece. Okay. I've got some lines that I've marked out here. I've used my ruler and I've marked in some lines. And basically, what I've done is with my design is I've created this. Now this dotted line here, I used a dotted line instead of a solid line, but that's basically this, okay? I'm going to pop this on here, and you can pause, and you can take a look at all the dimensions and transfer them over to your piece of wood at your leisure. You know, quite often when I'm watching a tutorial video, I'll watch the entire video all the way through, and then I'll gather my supplies and start measuring, and then I'll watch the video as I'm recording. You'll see that I got, or as I'm carving, I got my computer right here, so I can watch and pause, and that's the beauty. You just hit that space bar, and you'll pause, and you can rewind a little bit and check it back. So we'll go slow and help you get started. Okay. So here I am. I got my lines 3/8 of an inch. I got 5/8 of an inch here, and then 2 inches down here, and then 3/4 is the center point, and just draw your lines. Okay. A little variation on the bottom here is at the back. You can actually bring that down. This line down here, you could make it 1/2 inch longer, and if you wanted to give your owl a little tail, you can do that. Okay. Or if you go with the straight cut, you're going to get something a little bit more like that. All right. So little variations. Again, make it your own. Have some fun with it. Oops, we got a collision here. All right. Let's get started. First of all, the other thing that I want to mention is I always wear a glove, and chances are you're going to see me touch the glove with the blade a few times as we go here. So, and I'll, if I remember, I will let you know. Okay. Keep a pencil handy as well. We're going to need that a little bit later on as we go. This is just your basic outline. So we're going to grab our flex cut detail knife here. Any brand will do. And as long as it's sharp, okay, keep it sharp. If you have a dull blade, that's a dangerous blade. All right, so what we're going to start here is we're going to just start with one of our first cuts, and it's called a stop cut. Okay, so I'm going to come along one of the lines, doesn't matter where you start, and we'll start at the bottom here, and you're just going to bring your knife in and then just rock it back and forth on that line and dig it in a little bit. Okay, so I'm just digging it in here. Oh geez, I'm only in about not even 1/16 of an inch, but that's just fine. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, push it in, push it forward. Beware where that tip is, because the knife will not protect you from the tip. Or sorry, the glove will not protect you from the tip. It will protect you from a cut this way, but it won't protect you from a stab. Okay, this is lined with Kevlar fibers, and you can get these. You can get them on eBay or on Amazon. You can get them from different carving suppliers, Lee Valley Tools, catalog shopping. All right, all kinds of different places. All right, so we've scored those 2 lines. And what we're going to do now is just come in underneath that line, roughly 1/16 of an inch or so, and we're just going to cut up towards it. Okay, we'll just push it. So what I'm doing here to control is I'm hanging on to I'm not really pushing the knife all that hard. There's a small motion, but what I'm doing is I'm pushing it with my thumb, okay? And I'm controlling the knife so that I have full control over it. I'll just pop that little chip out, and that's what we've got, okay? That's what we've got, just a little push. And we'll do the same thing on this side. We've already scored it. come down, oh, same thing here, about 1/16 of an inch, and push up towards it. And you'll hear that little click, letting you know that you've reached the stop cut. Okay, if it doesn't pop out, just come back here and just push your blade straight down. Okay. And because this is your first time, we're going to do it again. So you're going to line up your blade right on the edge of that line. You're going to push it in a little bit more. Okay. And you're going to come back about the same spot and just dig it in a little bit deeper. Okay. Come back and push it out and take that chip out. Do the same thing on this side. Once you get more experience, you'll be doing this in one shot. If you're using a harder wood, you know, it will, you'll have to push a little harder. Now, if you can't get basswood, I suggest try going to your home reno store and just pick up a piece of white pine. That will carve just as well. There's not a whole lot of detail in this owl, so it'll work just fine. It's a little bit stringier, but like I said, it'll work just fine. Okay, so let's come back to the top here. We're going to do it exactly the same way. I'm going to start here. We're going to push. I'm going to rock the knife back and forth and just push in. This time we'll push it in a bit deeper, okay? Just so we can get it on the first shot. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Follow the line and just push it in. Okay, so there we go. And this time we're going to come back a little further back. We're going to come back close to 1/4 inch, but you got to be mindful that your blade is not going to cut the other side here. So we'll just bring our knife back to about the center point, put the blade even to the end. And this time we're going to push at a bigger angle, or a greater angle, or a lesser angle, whatever you want to put it. And we're going to push up, and we're just going to shave that up to the top line here. Okay, we'll do it again, just to keep everything nice and even. There we go. Now the problem when you don't cut deep enough is you end up with these little fuzzies. Okay, but I'll just push the blade in here and cut them off. It's okay. The more practice you get, the less fuzzies you're going to have, and the cleaner your cuts are going to become. So it's like anything else. Practice, practice, practice. All right, so there we go. Same thing there. We're going to come in here. It's not such an issue here to cut on this side. So we'll just come in here, nice long sweep, and just push that in with your thumb until you hear the little click. Come in here and just clean that up. And there we go. That's actually a better cut. And that's it. That's our first 4 cuts. And already you can start seeing that we've got cheeks, and we've got the head, and it's starting to, well, that's actually even starting to look like a little owl. At least it is to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I tend to be a positive guy. All right, clean up all those little fuzzies. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice when you're wearing these gloves, it erases these lines, so we got to make sure that we mark them. We're going to do a very, very simple cut here. We're going to come in right at the intersection here at the corner. Doesn't matter which one, and we're just going to push the knife in, just like that. Okay. So you see that I'm pushed in. Oh gosh, a good 8 to 3/16 of an inch here. Okay. Then I'm going to come in from the bottom, and I'm just going to push that up, and I'm just going to do a little V cut. Okay, stop to a V, and we can go a little deeper if you want. Didn't go quite that far, you can go a little bit deeper if you want. Okay, and we're going to mark all 4 corners. Push in, and bring that out. Same thing here, push in, and bring that out. And then at the front, we're going to push in and going to bring that out. All right, so that marks our line all the way around. We've got all our corners. We can, well, we may as well just do it here. We're just going to rock our knife back and forth on one of the lines, and we'll push up and take that corner out. Come in around this side, rock it back and forth, push up to it. Didn't quite go deep enough. There we go. Same thing here. push up. There we go. Bring that across. And push up. All right, so now we've got our owl kind of outlined on where the post is and where the owl is. Okay, not 100% even. I kind of messed up a little bit here, but that's okay. We'll come back and clean that up a little bit later. All right, so let's grab our pencil. We'll go to the top of the head here. We're going to draw. Well, let's start by drawing a center line. You just do this by eye here. You don't need a ruler. You can use a ruler if you want, but we're just going to draw a center line between the two ears, okay? And then we're going to come back, maybe a quarter of an inch, no, 3/16 of an inch, okay? And we're just going to make a curve here. Just eyeball it, okay? It doesn't have to be 100%. We're going to do the same thing on the back side here, just a little bit of an oval, okay? Just like that. This just gives us an idea. Well, as you get experience, you probably never do that again, but you know, at the beginning, we just want to make sure that our lines are, that we know exactly where we're cutting to. So I'm going to come up here about midway on the front here, actually a little bit further back, just a little bit above this cut here, maybe 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. I'm just going to push that hard line out. Okay, just going to bring that out, and we're actually going to carve this out towards that line that we just made. This is our guide, okay? I want to leave a little bit of a flat spot there and a little bit of a flat spot there, but we're just going to bring that towards the back. Just like that, okay? And we do the same thing on the back here. We're just going to come back, and this time I'm going to go kind of between these two spots here, and I'm just going to push some material out, and we're just going to bring that around and bring it over to the line. We're just shaping the head a little bit, keeping a little bit of a flat spot there and there. We're going to come back and address those later. All right, just like that. So there we go. We've got the back of the head shaped a little bit, and we got the forehead kind of shaped a little bit. We can bring that up a little bit more. Okay. We're just rough cutting right now. All right, so we're kind of done there. We're going to come back here, and we're going to look at, I'd say 3/16 of an inch right there. Just draw a line across there. And same thing on this side, about 3/16 of an inch. Oops. Kind of that way. I made a mess of that. I'm on the end grain here, so I probably won't erase very well. I did all right. Okay, so I'm just going to make a nice straight line right across there. Okay, so marking our ears. Now, this is probably the most delicate cut you're going to make in the entire project, okay? And we make this one fairly early, that if we cut the ear off, then we're going to start our project all over again and come over here. But we're cutting into the grain here, okay? The grain is running this way. I'm not sure exactly just yet. We'll discover shortly if it's running up or if it's running down, but we know it's not running across this way because we can see the grain, okay? So this is the toughest part of the wood, is into the grain. It's also the most fragile because if I push down into the grain, I'll split it right down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to score the ear, top of the head here, ever so slightly. I'm just going to rock back and forth. I'm not putting a whole lot of pushing, I'm not pushing down on it very hard. I'm just kind of making a mark, okay? I'm just kind of sawing into it, even though it's a smooth blade. I'm just making a mark. Do the same thing here, just make a mark. Don't push too hard on it because you will slice right through and be just like a little piece of kindling firewood. It's going to snap right off. Okay, so just a little rocking back and forth without putting a whole lot of pressure. Find your edge here. We'll do it again and find the cut and just push down on it. Okay, and then very, very gently, just keeping control, pushing that blade, not pushing it this way, but pushing it with your thumb, and just kind of rock this back and forth. Okay, and then come back here, cut again, and sooner or later you're going to get to a point where you're going to pop that little top off. Okay, clean up the fuzzies. And here we go. Just a little V. Just, you know, not even a 1/16 of an inch thick yet, but that's okay. Now we're going to start over again. We're going to push down a little bit, and then you're going to dig in from a little bit further, and be aware of where your tip is versus your glove. Okay, and don't stab yourself. I'm told that when you go to the hospital with a wound from a good sharp cutting knife, is they compliment you on the cleanliness of the wound. It's not jagged. All right, so just like that, we'll clean that up a little bit and just bring the knife in and score it and clean that little chunk out. Okay, little baby steps. Take your time on this. This is the most delicate part of the project. Okay, so we made a little V. You see that? We made a little V right here, and that's the top of our ear defined. Okay, so we're going to come back, and we're just going to do the same thing on this side. And try to go a little bit quicker here. Just ever so slowly push that back, rock it back and forth, do it again. Okay. Just like that. All right, so now that we've got both sides done, we're going to come back and check our symmetry. And both sides should be about the same. And they look like they're pretty close. We're going to dig that in a little bit deeper, but now what we can start to do here is take off these hard lines just with the tip of the blade, and I'm just pushing through. Now don't forget, this is the end grain, and it is the toughest part. Okay, so I'm going to come down this way, and then I'm going to come here and round out the back. And what you're trying to do is get rid of that saw mark there and get everything nice and smooth. This video is going to be a little long. I'll try and fast forward here and there, but I want you guys to get the idea. It takes me a little longer here because I'm explaining it, and it'll take you a little bit longer. You'll probably have to watch it a few times and pause it and carry on. That's normal. But when I've been developing these guys here, this is about a 20-minute to half-hour whittle once you know where you're going. And you know, but again, it's practice. As you go, you get a little bit quicker. And I consider myself to be a slow carver, so this is something that somebody could probably whip out in 10 minutes, sitting at a campfire or at a picnic table or something. Kind of a fun little project to do. And you know, it's not. You can make it as detailed as you want. So there we go. We cleaned that up. We've cleaned up the top of the head. Another little tool that's handy is a nail brush. You can get these at the dollar store, and it just cleans up all the little corners there, and you can see where you're at, and I can see that I'm gotta just bring that corner down a little bit. I'm gonna go this way. And you can probably start to guess why I've left this a little long. It's because I got something to hang on to, especially on your first project. That looks pretty good. Okay, so that's where we're at. All right, so we can just come in here, and you know what? Now that we've got that defined and pretty clean, just come in here and push a little bit of material out. Okay, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to come in here and push that through a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit more off here. I'm just going to come back a little bit further, and I'm just going to shave a little bit off here. Okay, and I'm going to look at my symmetry here, and I'm just going to shave a little bit more off that guy. Good. All right. We can come here and take a little bit off of the back. Just kind of take off those sharp edges. I'm not going to do a whole lot to the back on this particular project. This is something that you can do on your own as you develop this little guy. But our first one here, all I really want to do is take off these sharp lines here to start. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, before we start at the front, let's define our beak. Let's figure out where our beak is going to go. So our beak is actually going to start at this point right here. Okay, right there. So I'm going to come down. Oh, we'll give this guy a big beak. I'm going to come down a good 1/4 to 5/16 of an inch here, and I'm going to align my knife so that it's straight across at 90 degrees, and I'm just going to push that in. And oh gosh, I'm going to push it in a good 3/16 of an inch down. Okay, just like that, and make a little mark. Then we're going to do our push cut, and we're going to come up right to it. You don't have to go all the way down the first shot. You can just kind of come into it in little pieces. It's easy to make a shortcut and stop than it is to make a cut that's too deep and try to glue a piece of wood back on. So don't feel that on the very first time you got to take it all off in the first shot. I'll make that a little bit deeper. All right, so there we go. We got the line of our beak, and we'll just come in here, and we're going to take that off and round it out a little bit. All right, so there's where we're at. A little fuzzy there. There we go. Just like that. All right, so now I'm going to grab our pencil for the first time here. And we're going to come from the top here to the bottom of the nose, or to the bottom of the beak. Now this is going to start looking like a nose right at the beginning, but bear with me. So we're just going to draw a diagonal line there. I'm going to do the same thing here from the corner to the top here, just like that. Okay, just marking our edges. Now we're going to make a stop cut on here, and what we have to do is that you have to bear in mind that I don't want to cut this way, because if I cut flat on this plane and I put my knife in this way, I'm actually going to be digging in towards the other side, and I'm just going to pop that nose right off. So I'm going to push parallel to the nose. Okay, so my blade is on a bit of an angle, and I'm pushing just with the tip of the blade here, and be mindful of where you're going. Okay, I'm just going to score that and then push that in. Okay, never twist your blade while you're doing this motion. You'll break off the tip. And the flex cuts are a little bit more robust. Okay, but you've got very little metal there, so when you're pushing your blade in, you don't twist it. You just push it in and you do a pull cut, okay, or a push cut in this case. I'm pushing down towards me here. Same thing, I'm looking for my angle. And I'm just going to bring the knife in. I'm going to push it down. Beware of where your hand is. If you're not comfortable doing that, put the piece down. And again, you can do it this way, okay? But be aware, if that angle slips, you don't want to be stabbing yourself. So safety first. Be aware of where you're going. And I'm actually just pushing it with my thumb here. All I'm doing with this hand is just guiding the knife, or holding the knife, and all the work is being done by my thumb, okay? So just like that, we've got that scored. If it's not deep enough, that's okay. We can come back to it. I'm going to come at this corner here, and we're going to do a slice, okay? We're just going to do a push cut right through here towards the top, and we're just going to rotate the knife a little bit, and we're going to knock that little chip out. Same thing on this side. Come in here, and we're just going to come in and knock that little triangle out, okay? Now this is something, as if this is your first carving, if you're a true beginner, you're going to find that it works better on one side than it does on the other, until you get practice at it, okay? And you just gotta work at it. And if you're left-handed, you're going to be better on this side, and if you're right-handed, you're going to, like me, you're going to be better on the other side, at least in the beginning, okay? So you just gotta be mindful of that. Practice, practice, practice. It's just like putting on a pair of skates and picking up a hockey stick. You can kind of figure out what the guys on TV are doing, but for some reason they're a little bit better at it than most of us, and that's because they practice a lot. There we go. Okay, so and come in here and clean up your fuzzies. And if you can make this in one cut, you'll find that you got an awful lot less fuzzies to clean up. I'm doing this in multiple cuts because I want to show you guys the technique. All right, so there we go. We got one little stubborn guy in here. Let's get him out. There we go. Okay, so we've got, he just doesn't want to come out of there. There we go. Did I get him? No. There we go. All right. So it kind of looks like a nose, but that's okay. We're going to come in here from the tip of the beak to about the midpoint of the beak, and we're going to do a slice cut or push cut just like that, okay? And we come in and just pop out that little triangle. And we do the same thing here from the edge to the middle. Just do a little push cut. You hear it snap, and it comes out really, really easy. And now we've got a beak, okay? And it actually comes down in underneath. We'll take care of this little fuzzy here. Okay, there we go. We've got a beak. Can you see that? As simple as that. Okay. Now, let's just give it a little bit more detail here. Let's define the head. We're going to come in here just a little bit above this line, and I'm going to do a push cut. Fairly deep, okay? And then I'm going to come up to it and knock that out, and then I'm going to come down to it. So I'm actually doing a V cut here. And then I'm going to grab this little piece here, and I'm just going to smooth it out. Just like that. We'll do the same thing here, just a little bit above, push it in, come up to it, push it down. Okay. And we defined the head a little bit more. We're going to do the same thing right here. This time, I'm going to come down right at the edge. I'm going to push up, like so, and then I'm just going to pull that one down. Right at the edge, push in, push up, and then just come down. Okay, and we defined the head. Okay, so here we can work around our ears a little bit. Let's just comb that back, and we'll just flatten that out. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to take, well, this is too much ear to leave on, so we're just going to bring it back to about there, just like that. Okay, and we're just going to comb this back here and take off those sharp edges, so they don't look like perfect triangles. Again, you can take this as far as you want. We can actually define the ear. We can come in here just a little bit below the ear, do a little push cut. Not so much as a big V. Just come in here. And just kind of define that. I don't think I like, there we go. That's a bit better. We'll just clean this guy up here, this little, I kind of messed that up, but you know what, we're going to mess things up. And a good carpenter is the guy who knows how to hide his mistakes. So I'm just going to come in here, just like that. Okay, I'll do the same thing here. We're just going to push that ear back a little bit. I'm going to take off this sharp little edge here and take off that hard corner here. There. Fuzzy kicking around here. There we go. I normally leave this line sharp, but because I messed it up, I'm going to make it symmetrical here. And just push that down. There we go. So the two sides are the same, just like that. Okay. There we go. It's starting to look like something. We can come in here and we can just, again, take off that sharp edge just with the tip of the knife. Just going to practice just doing a little bit of a pull cut or push cut here, and we're just going to shave off the very tip of that sharp line so that it's well, just a little bit more rounder and softer looking. Okay, just coming in through here, just taking off that rough edge. Same thing here. We're just going to come in. Don't take a whole lot off here, but just gonna soften that edge, round it over a little bit. Same thing on this side. Just rounding that off. Okay, I'm going very, very slow here and taking very little short pieces out, just because I want you guys to see what's going on. I'm going to do the same thing up here, just a little bit, just to take off that square corner. Okay, just rounding it out. Don't want any hard edges. Just like that. Okay, so let's just dig that in a little bit more so we don't lose that line. All right, let's come down to the bottom. Now this is where you have a choice. So you can come back later on with the saw and cut that off, or you can turn this into a fence post, a tree branch. You can turn that into a stump, some kind of a little, I don't know what this is, a little pillar, And so you can turn this into anything you want, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to make this farmer's field fence post. Okay, so we're just going to come across here. We're going to mark our 2 corners here. Again, you probably won't be doing this once you've had some experience, but what we're going to do is just round this off, and we're going to find a circle here. Okay, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Fence posts they appear round, but they're not perfectly round. And the same thing with our little post here. It's not going to be perfectly round, but it's going to be pretty close. Okay, so there's our guide. There's our circle, just like that. Okay, so the way you make a circle, you start off by taking off the corners. Okay, I'm doing very, very small cuts here deliberately. And then you start coming across and you widen your cut. And you widen your cut on this side and this side and this side and this side. And you keep widening out your cut. And eventually, okay, you come into a circle. And I'm doing this from about 1/3 of the way. And I'm just coming across here and widening my cut. Keeping an eye on where my circle line is, and if you go over it, no big deal, just make it a little bit smaller. And this is not a critical part of the sculpture, not like the ears. All right, that's pretty good. So now what we do is we just carry that upwards. Oh, I should mention, on one of the little renditions, this short little guy, which was one of my first renditions, what I ended up doing was cutting this and making it very, very thin. Okay, and that turns it into a bookmark. Doesn't work on my iPad though. All right, bad joke, I'm sorry. All right, so there we go. It's not perfectly round. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't really matter. This is just a fence post. Not all trees are perfectly round, and they're not all perfectly straight either. So this is where you can take artistic license, and you're just basically creating something that's close. Okay. Once you get a little bit of paint on this, it's going to come to life in a different way, which is kind of cool. All right, so there we are. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to give them some wings. So grab our pencil here, and we're going to come right about midpoint here under the beak, roughly 3/8 of an inch down, and we're just going to draw a line like that, just a little bit of an S line. Okay, just like that. And we're going to come in here and draw the same line. Just like that. Okay. Come in with our knife. And we're going to have to do it in 2 different directions, but we're going to do a push cut. Well, actually, I'm going to start doing it from here. And I'm just going to push that in and try to go as deep as you can. Okay, so that you make a nice clean cut. You've got a little bit of experience now. And if you're not comfortable with this and you don't want a chance ruining any of your work, grab another little piece of scrap wood and practice this cut here. and see how you do. Okay, this one on this side is going to be in reverse. We're going to just push. Be aware that you're not turning your blade too sharply, because you'll snap the tip. I've done it, and I'm not the first guy to have done it. And if you're not perfectly on the line, well, at this point here, it doesn't really matter if you go a little bit over or under on one side. Doesn't really matter. All right, so then we're going to come in at about a 45-degree angle or greater. Okay, and we're just going to come in and follow that line from a little bit on the outside, pointing the tip in, and we're just going to pop out that little chip of wood, just like that. Okay, there we go, just like that. And if you did it in one sweep, then you don't have any fuzzies to clean up. That's the nice part of that. If you do it in multiple sweep, well, you're going to end up with little fuzzies that you got to come in and clean up, and they're kind of a pain, but it's doable. And just like that. And in this case here, I didn't quite go deep enough on the second cut. So there's my little fuzzies. They're showing up right there. And so that's okay. We'll just come in there and grab those out. Clean that out just like that. So we got our wings. Go a little bit deeper here too, making shadows. And wood carvings are all about shadows. Okay, just like that. That's where we're at. We can do the same thing on the back side here, but this time we're not going to go up quite as high. We're just going to just come in like so. Just a little bit of a line here, trying to keep it symmetrical. Okay, and again, we're going to do push cut. Up. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, but in my case it's down. If you're left-handed, it'll be exactly the opposite way. And just like that. And then we'll come in at an angle, about a 45-degree. And we'll take out that little chunk of wood. Okay. Same thing here. Come in, come back up to it, take out that little chunk of wood. All right, now this is a good time that if you missed your line like I did on the back here, now just come in with an eraser and take that out, either that way, or you can come in with your knife and you can cut out that line just by shaving it a little bit. Okay, but you don't want to leave the lines on there, because when it comes time to paint, the lines will bleed right through your paint. Be careful when you're cleaning up around the nose that you don't push, or the beak, that you don't slice it off. Okay, the same thing if you're doing a caricature around the nose, it gets a little fragile in there, and you could cut that off real quick. That's where the super glue comes in, or the wood glue. All right, so from here we're going to come up about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, right about there, and we're going to draw a line right across the front here. Just like that. Now, this is optional. If you feel that you've gone far enough and you just want to stop and try a different line, if you're not happy with it, you can stop right there. This one here does not have talons showing, or the claws, if you will. They're called talons on birds of prey. Birds of prey. Pardon me. So you can stop right there, because generally when owls sit on a post, they squat right down and you don't see their talons. But just for some fun here, we're going to draw in some, or we're going to carve in some talons and give us ourselves some practice. We're going to come right across with our knife here and going to dig that in nice and deep. And you can do this in a, if you're not comfortable dragging it across, you can do it in a series of little push cuts with the tip. Just like that. And we're going to come in from up top at about a 45-degree angle. And we're just going to follow that line and take out that little chip of wood. And separate the body from the lower half. Okay. There we go. Perfect. All right, didn't quite hit my line. My line wasn't quite straight, so I'll just come back here and erase that. Get rid of it now, so it's not around for paint. It's not perfectly level. Don't fret. It's not that big of a deal. You can come in and just kind of clean it up this way, but it's not really that big of a deal. All right, so we're going to come in here right on the center line. We're going to come down here. We can mark our center line, just so we keep things symmetrical. And I'm going to come about 1/8 of an inch on either side of it. Okay, just like that. So now what I'm going to do is on the outside lines only, I'm going to push my blade in and make a stop cut. And do the same thing here. Make a stop cut. Okay. Then I'm going to come in. I can either come in from the center line, or I can come in from the stop cut that I made, and I'm just going to drag my knife across. You can do this in small cuts as you go along. And by the way, I just touched this finger with the blade. Okay, so it's that easy. That would have been a cut. Not a very deep one, but it would have been a cut. It would have been a Band-Aid moment. That's where you wear a glove. I'm going to come in from the bottom side here. Now this will take you a little bit of time. Your very first time. I'm going extremely slow here so I can show you how I'm taking this material out and making the separation between the two talons, the 2 feet. Okay, and I'm coming in at shallow angles here and being very, very careful to control my cut, and taking little chips of wood out every time. All right, so I'm about to introduce another tool here. You can carry on and do this with one knife. It works, okay, and it works very well. It's just time consuming. If you want to speed things up, this is where the different tools come in handy. And so if you're doing small detail work like this, okay, you can just come and grab a little gouge here. This is a number 5 gouge. So it's roughly about 1/8 of an inch, and it's got a very gentle sweep. Okay, so I'm just going to take my gouge here and come in and follow my lines, and just push out the little pieces that I don't want. Okay, and speed up the process. Again, I can do it with the detail knife. You don't need to go out and rush and buy this gouge, but if you do have it, I guarantee you, you'll use it. If you just look over at the tool selection that I have there, that's the reason. These tools make your your job easier, but it's good to learn with just a knife. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to clean up that little fuzzy just like that. Now, these fuzzies make the difference between an okay carving and a great carving. The cleaner your cuts are, the more you're going to enjoy looking at it, and the more you're going to get oohs and ahs. But you know, you can spend a good amount of time afterwards. And what I like to do is take a photo of the of my sculpture with my iPhone, and I'll tell you, that really shows me where all the errors are. The beauty of digital photography is shows you everything that's wrong, because it's such good detail. So what I do is I take a photo and I go look at it on the computer, and I go, oh yeah, got to fix that, and that. So I'll come back and I'll work at it a little bit more, and go back and take another picture, and you know, you'll spend as much time cleaning up all your little edges as you did making the sculpture. But it's fun. It teaches you that you know, to pay attention to your cuts on the first time, and that's how you learn. Okay, so just like that, we got a nice clean edge here, and we're good. Okay, so now we'll make our next cuts. We'll do these a little bit quicker. We're going to come in 3/16 an inch, like so, on this side. Same thing here, about 3/16 of an inch. Okay, 4 millimeters for my metric friends. Just like that. Come in, do a stop cut. By the wing, we'll do a stop cut. Stop cut, and over by the wing. Okay, and then come in from underneath and just pop that little chip of wood out. Same thing here. I'm going to come in from underneath. And just pop that little guy out. Come back on the other side, and it's done. Okay, so again, just goes to show you, you can do this without the gouge, but the gouge sometimes makes things easier. How does that go? Using the right tool for the right job. Stubborn little fuzzy here. Okay, I can make this video an awful lot shorter, but I'm just showing you real life here. And don't forget, this is YouTube, so you can fast forward this at any point and get to the part that interests you the most. All right, so there we go. Next, we're going to come in here and we're going to draw 2 lines on each claw. Whoops, that's wrong. Let's get rid of that so I don't get confused. I'll pull that straight down there and straight down here. Okay, so you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do it with your detail knife. You can come in here and you can just score that line, and then come back on a little V and take out a little cut, like so. Okay, or you could grab a little V tool here and just come in on the line Just push in and take out a cut that way. Either way, it's the same result. Okay, this just makes the job a little bit faster. This is a, what is this? This is a 1/8 or, yeah, 1/8 V tool. Just a tiny little guy. So I just make two little lines here. When the paint hits that, it will define the talon, okay, or the claws rather. So just like that. This one here is a little bit better defined. Okay, you're going to find that some work better than others, but just like that. Okay. So the V tool makes it a little bit easier, but you can still do it with the detail knife. So we're just about done here. I'm just going to clean this guy up a little bit more. Take a little bit more off of there. And one of the last things I like to do here is, I see right up here in the beak, what we're going to do is we're just going to come in and we're going to peel that back, and we're just going to make that a little bit more flush with the top of the beak. Straighten out our angle here. And I'm just going to push the top of the head back a little bit more here. There we go. And all we're missing now is some eyes. Come in here and just clean up that little line. Take away the sharp edges. Just with the tip of the knife. Okay, it's got to be super, super sharp. Just like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is grab, well, we could do it a couple of ways. We grab our pencil here, and we could just apply some eyes until we're ready for paint. Right up here. Draw some circles. Okay. I've got a little tool here that I bought years ago. This is an eye punch. This is a 1/8 eye punch. This came from whittling or chipping away and down in Waterloo. And I just bought it on a whim one day when I was visiting the shop. And what I like about this is that I push that in and it gives me a perfect circle. Okay, it doesn't jump out at you. Again, you can do this with the tip of your knife blade. Okay, you don't need this tool, but it's nice to have. Okay, and so by pushing that in, what it does is that when I come and do my paint, it gives me an outline here, and my paint doesn't bleed over into the sculpture as much. So I can be a little bit more liberal with the brush. But that's the eyes and the beak. And we've got that, and we can come around here and clean up all of our sharp edges and just make things nice and round and fluid. Okay, you can come in here and you can carve this back. You could actually you could even make the head, define the head right around to the side here, and carry that up through. If you wanted to, you can take it as far as you want. Okay, the detail is up to you. I've given you a good place to start. Play with it, and you'll find that you can make it your own. Okay, you can give it as much detail or as little detail as you want. You can paint in the detail too at the beginning, and you know, learn to clean up your cuts and to make everything nice. But there you go. Real quick, you've got a little owl. Okay, and it was fun to do. And I got a little bit of dissymmetry here. But this is the first time that I've done a carving live, and I've kind of rushed through some of my cuts. I normally take a little bit more time, so it's not 100%. Oh, let's do one more little detail here. It's not 100%, but it's fun, and you get the idea. Let's come in here right at the tip of the wing. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to push my knife in just nice and deep, okay, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to push that in nice and deep, okay, and then I'm going to come in on the side of the wing and I'm going to do a little push cut that way. Same thing here, a little push cut that way, okay, and then I'm going to come in at a 45-degree angle and call it triangle cut. I'm just going to pop that little corner out of there. Same thing here, pop that little corner out of there. Just like that. And we've got some detail here. We just, that little simple 3-corner cut, that little triangle cut has given me a little bit of shadow and a little bit of roundness to the body. And it's really, really easy to do. So all you need to do now is take it to paint, hand it over to your children or your grandsons or granddaughters, or a neighbor's child, or heck, just put it on your desk. If this is your first carving, pop a date down here, okay, the date that you did it, and put that on the shelf. Don't throw it away. Don't give it away. You can always come back to it. It's really cool to be able to compare and see your progress, okay? Well, there you go, little owl. It's done. And it took me about an hour because I was doing it on video, but generally I knock these out in about 30 minutes. But it has been fun. My first tutorial on how to carve a project, so I hope you enjoyed it. We'll leave some links down below. At the end of here, I'll pop this page up again right at the end of the video, so you can have this page to refer to your measurements. Check out Doug Linker's page. He is an incredible carver from Southern Ontario, and he's got a little owl that's a little bit more detailed than mine. I wouldn't call it a first-time carver, but it's definitely a novice carver idea. It's got lots of detail. It's got some cartoon looks to it. It's really a lot of fun. Check it out. He's a fantastic teacher as well. We'll leave some links to the tool places and wood suppliers. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell. That way you'll know when a new video comes out. Leave any comments down below. Bye for now. Catch you on the next one.